So No Man's Sky is this crazily ambitious game that we're making as, I guess, a tiny little indie studio. It's a game that's been in my head, in our heads for like the longest time, and we've talked about so much. I guess the first thing is it's a science fiction game, you know, and like most people when they hear that, they think, oh God, you know, like there are so many sci-fi games and they are all cut from the same type of science fiction, which is kind of post-apocalyptic and dystopian, and you know, the world is a really messed up place. So we're not that. We're much more, I guess, inspired by the sci-fi books of like the 60s, 70s, that kind of thing. That were much more interesting type of sci-fi. So in the No Man's Sky universe, you know, you have a variety of different ways to play, but we really want to leave it open to the player. You know, some people will call that a sandbox. I don't really. It's just that there is this universe, and it is a working, living, breathing universe. Every planet has an ecology. In space, there are trade routes, there are freighters, there are shipping lanes, whatever. There's space stations, and they're just working, you know. And we let the player loose in that. You know, if you think back to games like Elite, that's what they did. You know, you can upgrade your ship, but really, you just go about and decide how to have fun, you know. And there is a lot of kind of fun to be had within that universe. So you might choose to be very combat focused, and if you do, then there is an awful lot of combat situations that you can get into on the planets, but also in particular in space. But you also might choose to be an explorer or a trader, or, you know, just totally focused on upgrading your suit and your weapons and your abilities, you know, and traveling further and further and deeper into that universe. Because you start on the outside ring of it, and that's a big aim for a lot of people, is to try and get as far towards the center of the universe as they can. So there isn't that kind of narrative. You don't suddenly enter the game and there's a tutorial and it tells you exactly what to do, and you then just go on a set of missions or levels. It's not that type of game. But there is still like a lore to the universe that we have kind of created in our heads and try and embed into it, you know. And that kind of symbol that you see everywhere, that's like on my t-shirt, we call that the Atlas, and that's an important part of that lore. We haven't really talked about that yet, and that's because the game is about exploration, and we want people to just get in there and discover that for themselves and start piecing it together and maybe come up with their own interpretations or whatever. No Man's Sky isn't an MMO. You know, it's actually quite far from an MMO, and we never set out to build that type of game, right? We want everyone to share the same universe. We want people to feel the impact of other players, but there are so many things that are core to MMOs that just do not suit our game. The very first thing is an MMO tries to crowd everyone together, right? We do the total opposite of that. We take them and spread them as far apart as we can, scatter them across the universe. It's the worst idea for an MMO, right? There are no lobbies or anything like that. You're generally playing not alone, because you're surrounded by the life of the planets and space and everything else around you. You know, this kind of living, breathing universe. But you are, you know, you are kind of playing the role of an explorer, of a frontiersman, you know, of the kind of classic sci-fi character, of just being in the great unknown, on the kind of the final frontier, right? And you aren't there with necessarily all your friends, because they are like light years away. No Man's Sky is hopefully coming soon. We're super hard at work, and it's an incredibly ambitious game. E3 is actually a massive milestone for us, not just in terms of putting a demo together, but actually where the game's at in production and stuff. But yeah, we've got a lot to do, so hopefully people will just be patient for us. It takes a little bit of time. We're kind of doing a console debut on PS4. We're super interested about PC, but we haven't made any announcements about that yet. And yeah, coming soon, ish.